Hey everybody, Joe with the DM Toolbox here, and I just wanted to bring you guys a quick short video this weekend about a new Kickstarter coming out that I'm super excited about. It's the Tome of Heroes from Kobold Press. Now, I had brought you some information about this a couple of weeks ago when they first announced it, but at the time, there was no real information about what would be in the book. It was all speculation. Since then, we've gotten more info. We've heard about new subclasses and things like that are coming out. They've been teasing us with artwork and stuff, but they've also done a few Twitch streams where they've given us more details, and I've kind of compiled all that into some notes that I figured I'd share with you guys since this Kickstarter goes live on Monday. So a lot coming out, and I figured I'd share it with you guys. Now, first thing we have in this book is new races. They said there'd be some new races, and they didn't specify what those would be, but there are also going to be some variants on existing races, sub-races. So they did mention things for elves, dwarves, halflings, gnomes, and minotaur. They said there would be some Southland type variants, so maybe the cat people. There's the City of Cat People book, I believe, that's part of the Southlands Kickstarter that they did earlier this year. So probably some variants on that. And then they mentioned a possible stretch goal, and this is a stretch goal I'm excited for a mechanical type kobold. That could be fun. Next up, we have subclasses. Now, no new full classes, but there are a ton of subclasses. Wolfgang mentioned they had something like 50 subclasses designed, but not all those would make it into the book. He did think that somewhere around 40-ish, should make it into the book, and then probably maybe some more with stretch goals. But I think we could probably count on 35 to 40-ish range, I would think. This includes every core class. Every single core class will get something. Not Artificier, because that is not part of the SRD, and they can't make subclasses for that. So until Wizards of the Coast decides to make that part of the SRD, which they probably will never do, there's nothing we can do about that. Which is too bad, because that seems like it would be such a great class in Midgard. But this book is also not Midgard specific. This can be used at any table, any setting. If you want to bring these new things into your game, you can. There are going to be sidebars if you do play in Midgard and you want to know how these things tie into Midgard. There will be information, but this book is designed to not be Midgard specific. Now, one thing that Kobold Press has never touched on too much is monks. Monks apparently just haven't really shined much in any Kobold Press book. So that's going to happen now. They designed a whole bunch of monk subclasses, like 6 or 7. Not that all of those are going to make it into the book, but I would hope that we're going to get maybe 2 or 3. And then Wolfgang did say there's one that could be a stretch goal because it's weird, whatever that means. So hopefully we do really good with stretch goals and we can see what else is going to be in this book. There was also some talk about these subclasses that are designed to be like military type subclasses. So you don't have to be like a soldier, a fighter. There's other things you can do, like knowing how to build better defenses or knowing battlefield tactics and things like that any class can participate in and do well in a military type setting, in a war type setting. So there are subclasses for some of that. Next chapter is supposed to be about backgrounds. Now, I didn't really get a whole lot on the backgrounds. They didn't go into too much detail. There was some mention about a background that, like, if you worked in the court systems and you know a bunch of legal stuff. So I don't know how that would work. But then there's other ones like scoundrels and things like that. So we should see a good variety of new backgrounds. One chapter that really piqued my interest, and they talked about it a lot, was equipment. So I think we're going to see some new weapons. More importantly, something I really like out of the Midgard Players book is the weapon options. So these are things you can do besides damage. If you look in that book, which I have here, this is the Midgard Heroes Handbook. That's a player's book. But they have a bunch of player options in this book. And I actually did a video on this book a couple weeks ago. And you can do things like, trip somebody or whatever. It gives you something to do with your action besides, hit them with the pointy end. So getting more weapon options will be really good. And they actually talked about a book. If you haven't read it, I suggest you do, called Beyond Damage Dice. Really cool book for DMs. Definitely one of those cool tools that lets you think more about how your games can work and what your items can do. So we should see some new weapon options. We should also see new armor and new tools. I love toolkits. I like those other things we can do in the game, and I like expanding on those. So they didn't mention specifically too many tools. I think there was a mention of a surgical kit, so something that you can do to help heal and close wounds besides just a healer's kit. There was apparently a lot of toolkits that people came up with that not all are going to make it into the book. There was just a lot of weird stuff, but it sounds cool. They did say there should be some new poisons, and they were asked about new firearm options. Will we get new guns, new firearms, new stuff to do, things that go boom? And the answer was, we will not comment at this time on that. So, I don't know, but I don't know. No comment sounds promising. Next chapter up was something on magic and spells. It sounds like we're going to be getting some new spells. And not just new spells. If we go back to the chapter on subclasses, apparently a lot of these subclasses they wanted to do these cool flavored things with these subclasses, and there was no spells that went with it, so they made new spells for it. So we will get some new spells. Not much, I don't think, on magic items, though they did mention it, and I should have said this in the equipment section. There probably will be some magic items that are meant to kind of also tie into those flavored subclasses. But don't forget, Kobold Press also just did a Kickstarter for the Vault of Magic, which is a huge compendium of magic items, which comes out this fall, and I backed, and I'm super excited to get that in my hand. So that is coming. Look for that too. The last one, and they didn't go into too much detail in the first Twitch stream, but the second Twitch stream, they talked a lot about this because they had one of the people who created this section. Downtime rules. They're doing, I think, several different systems, like subsystems in the game, but downtime rules was a big one that they talked a lot about. So if you know from reading the Midgard World book, they have this rule called Time Flies. And this is one of my favorite things in the Midgard setting that basically says if a week's passed in between your sessions, 2 weeks passed in game. If a month has passed, 2 months have passed in game. And this allows your character's arc to take longer without taking more game time. So rather than going from level 1 to 20 in 4 months in game, now it could have been years in game because of what's happening in between sessions. So it's a neat rule, but what are you doing in between those times? When you're back in Zobek or whatever town you're in between sessions, what are you doing? Well, these are some systems to expand on that. I think Tasha's did something similar with this, but this is going to expand on it more. These are things that a party can either do together during downtime, or an individual could take up some solo stuff. They didn't go into too many specifics on what these things are, but it should be cool. Like this to me is going to be a really neat rule system. These things can be done, during your session. Like you can kind of explain it, or you can say like, "Hey DM, I'm going to go do X, Y, Z in between sessions," and then when you come back, maybe there's dice rolls. I don't know how it's going to work. But your DM will say, okay, you did these things, and now you're going to get these rewards or boons because you did those things in between sessions. So there's going to be some payoff for the player. They also did a system that I think does some stuff with like sponsors or like a patron, not like a warlock patron, but like you work for this guy, and he's going to send you to do stuff. And he's your sponsor. He provides you equipment and rewards and things like that. He's the one who finds you work. So they're kind of expanding on that. I know that was definitely something that was in Tasha's that they're kind of building on even more. So it all sounds super cool. So that's kind of a general overview of everything I found out about Tome of Heroes so far. I think we're going to find out a lot more here in the next week as the Kickstarter goes. It sounds like they're going to be dropping spoilers on us left and right. I will try to bring you some of that information if you're not following it strictly on the Kobold site. You can check out the Kobold Press Facebook page and the Twitter feed for all this. You could join our Discord group that I play in, and they I'm sure we'll be talking about that left and right in there. But I'll also try to bring you some more video content during the week on it. As far as the book itself, somebody asked about price point, and they said it's going to be similar to other hardcover books that they've done. Now, it sounds like this is not going to be a Tome of Beast book that's 400 plus pages, but it's still going to be a pretty meaty book. So I would guess maybe like that $40 to $60 range, somewhere in there. I don't know. I guess we'll see. It should be coming out. It should actually like hit us, come to our hands, spring of 2022, maybe a little later, depending on stretch goals and stuff like that. So we'll see. But shipping and all that for a lot of these manufacturers, a lot of these bookmakers, has been tough with COVID and just the state of things lately. It's gotten a lot more expensive to ship books, so I think we're just gonna have to bear with them. And they've been successful so far with Scarlet Citadel and other stuff they've been shipping. So I trust Kobold Press to make this go as smooth as possible. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm super excited. Like I said, Tome of Heroes is going live on Kickstarter on Monday. I don't have an exact time, but just keep an eye on it. They did a giveaway for this. If you didn't get into it, there still might be some time, but probably not much. By the time you see this video, I would think the giveaway's time frame might be over. But there's going to be a normal book, and there's going to be a limited edition cover of this book, which looks super awesome. So yeah, get in on this, guys. Go check it out. Go to koboldpress.com/kickstarters, and you should see some information on it there. I'll put links down below for everything. All right, guys, that's all I got for now. I will see you at the end of the week with a new video. And until then, roll those dice.